And a very good evening to you, and welcome to today's edition of Politics 101. David Hines here, welcoming all of you to our Tuesday night program. Hello to all of you, those of you who joined us last night and joining us tonight. Please share the link. Let everyone know we're on and we're ready to go this evening. My guests are going to be Apostle Nigel London and Brother Dion Abrams, and we're going to continue our conversation. They're crawling out from all the holes. If you see them crawling from the holes, all of them, suddenly they realize that something is happening in Guyana. All of them are crawling out to condemn. They're crawling left, right, and center to condemn. If you see them in the Guyana Chronicle Mirror, the Guyana Chronicle, that's a new name for the Guyana Chronicle, Guyana Chronicle Mirror. And then you have the Guyana Mirror Times. And then you have the Stabroek Mirror News. You know that Stabroek News is something else. They ran a whole editorial on Sunday on WPA and what Ogunse say. They run all the statements that the PPP say, not one word of the WPA statement. We'll deal with them in time to come. It's read as my papers, you know. I know they're surviving with government advertisements, so they may think that they don't need the pennies that we pay for the paper. We're not ready to go there yet. Well, Kaitro News run the stuff, but Kaitro News doing the aisle story, you know. But that's Stabroek News. That's Stabroek News. We will deal with them in time to come. We are making note of all of those. All the Guyana private sector, FITOG, all of them we are noting because we'll deal with them. We'll deal with them, you know, because this is dealing time, right? And we have laid it out. They got some things they got to do. Stop bulldozing our people's homes. Start sharing the wealth equally. Stop sending the police to kill our people. Give it Party G back their money. If you do that, if you do those things now, we can begin to talk a different language. But for now, it's civil disobedience and non-cooperation. And don't ask me what it means. What it means is that we have asked our people not to lay down anymore. Do your thing. Yeah. We have told you some things to do. You see that private sector? It's we money that's buy the thing. Nowhere you spending your money. You know, we black people, we can be liquid sometimes, you know. And we don't watch what we buying and what we eating. Yes, good evening. Welcome to Politics 101. My guests tonight are Pastor Nigel London and Brother Dion Abrams. And we are going to be talking about heaven and hell that is coming down on Guyana after 4 WPA meetings. Just 4. This party that they licked down, you only got 2 members. The party dead with Walter Rodney. All of a sudden, head of state, attorney general, head of government, head of the armed forces, fit dog, all of them responding to the fringe. Finally, one political party decided to say, you stop it now, or else. Or else. That's all WPA is saying. You stop what you're doing now, or else. You see, good evening. Good evening to the wonderful people of Buxton. Why did we go to Buxton to make our remarks? Why you all are so fixated with Buxton? Good evening, welcome to Politics 101. David Hinds here on a Tuesday evening. Welcome if you're joining us from New York, North America, Canada. Whether you join us from the wider Caribbean, Bahamas, lots of our people there. I heard from quite a few people. There are hundreds of emails and inboxes and WhatsApp messages of solidarity that we have gotten. I want to thank all of you people for understanding the message. Here are the questions. What are the circumstances that led Ogunse to say what he said? And what is the message behind what he said? Anybody who go to school know them two questions. You don't go to what a man said, cut out 10 seconds and run with it. It's either you are a dunce or you believe people are dunces. But they know. What are the factors that led Ogunse and the WPA to make the statements they've been making? And what are the subtexts behind what the WPA is saying? None of them touching that, but they know. Last night, I got a lot of messages after last night for what some people call the dignified way in which I dealt with our brothers and sisters from the PNC who put out those statements. And I want to reiterate tonight, and they're trying, the PNC, the PPP, they're calling, Aubrey North must condemn, AFC must condemn, this body must condemn the WPA. I said it last night, and I'm saying it again, that what our brothers and sisters on the other side did was to deliver a prisoner, two prisoners, to the PPP. Sister Rhonda Lane and Brother Ogunse, Sister Gita, condemned Brother Ogunse and our brother Ganesh and others, through Rhonda Lane, a working class woman. They deliver prisoners to the PPP. The PPP won. That's why they're calling. This body must condemn the body. They want you all to deliver prisoners. And they're calling on Aubrey North, and some in his party are calling on him. Well, Aubrey has to decide whether he is going to go down in history as the leader of the opposition who deliver opposition prisoners to the enemy. That's what those brothers and sisters on the PNC side has done. I'm not saying what Rhonda made statements. Look, Sister Amanza Walton Desir was accused of making racist statements. We didn't see the Indian brothers and sisters from the PNC deliver her to the enemy. In fact, all of us put our arms around her and we shielded her from the enemy and said, leave this sister alone. When Brother Ubraj the other day, the PPP accused him of racist statements. I didn't see Brother Ganesh and the others coming out in public and condemning. No, they shielded him, and we all shielded him as we should do. We did not deliver him to the enemy. We were right with Sister Manza. We were right with Brother Gadish. And when that chap at Triumph attempted to assault Brother Daniel Siram, all of us put our arms around him as we should. We did not deliver him to the enemy. But this black sister, working class sister, she made some statements that I understand offended our brothers and sisters from the PNC. But you deliver her to the enemy. We black people understand slave catching, you know. We had the experience of slave catchers, those who caught the slaves and delivered them to the masters. I'm not calling my brothers over there slave catchers. I don't. I love them. But I want to alert them to what they have done. They have delivered okay. All right. They've delivered Brother Ogun and Sister Rhonda Lane to the PPP. They've delivered prisoners to the PPP. Sometimes you have to be tactical. What people don't know is that I have chided Sister Rhonda in public about the use of that C word. But if the use of that C word or citing of what she thinks is the origin of some of those who came here offended you, there are ways in which we could have dealt with that. We have a good relationship. Call me, ask Sister Rhonda's number. Talk to her. But you deliver her to the enemy. They didn't have to do that work. You all go and you all search the tape and found that and publicize it, delivering the sister to the enemy. And Sister Gita delivered Brother Ogunse to the enemy. I wrap my arms around Sister Rhonda. Leave that sister alone. I said that with Amanza, leave her alone. I said that with Brother Ubraj. We had an entire program here. Why are they harassing the mayor? Leave him alone. Why do they want to beat up Daniel Siram? Leave him alone. Why do you all want to beat up on Sister Rhonda? Leave her alone. Leave that sister alone. And if you all want your leader, Aubrey Norton, to go down in history as the opposition leader that deliver opposition prisoners to the government and to the enemy, then so be it. You all will have to deal with that. Good evening. Welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to politics. They're scampering all over the place, Because for the first time, you see, those of us who call ourselves, opposition activists, all of us have been for 3 years calling on them, stop killing black people, stop mowing down their homes, stop locking them up for nothing, stop using the government to harass and to kill black people, and then use the army and the police to lick them down when they protest. You kill the people in Berbice, the Henry boys, and that Indian boy who saw what happened apparently and they killed him. And when the people of West Berbice went out to protest the killing of their sons, you send the police and the army in there to beat them up. You kill Quindon Bacchus in Golden Grove. And when his people protest, you send the police and they ransack that village. If you see the bullets shot up on those people, you harass people politically, you attack them politically, and then you use the state arm, the police and the army to beat up those people who protest. You went to Linden and to Mocha. And before that, you went to Success, at the back of Success. And then you went in front of the hospital. And you mow those people, their homes and their business places down. And the police was there. You are doing your nastiness. And then you're using the armed forces. And so the WPA said, stop. It stops now. And I'm saying again here tonight. I'm saying again here tonight. If you continue to beat up on black people, we will have to respond. And if you are going to send the police and the army to beat us up when we respond, we have to talk to the police and the army directly, as Ogunse did, and that as I am doing here tonight. And to say to you, constitutionally, you have no right to beat up on people who are protesting. But more than that, the people that you are beating up on are your own people. When the people of Bushlat and Bath Settlement beat up police, where were you, Mr. Bess? Did you defend your own police? No. You watched your own police get beaten and you did nothing. I'm talking facts here. When they stone black children, Mr. Bess, you are black like me. Look at your color. You can't hide. But when they stone black children, you did nothing. And when a black brother Ogunse, say to you, turn your guns away, you write a threatening missive. Give me a call and let's talk. You come from the womb of a black woman. You were raised by a black woman and a black man. You didn't get where you are because of the PPP. You got where you are because we give birth to you, we raise you, we educate you, and now you want to talk to us as though we are slaves. No. We are not going to allow you to become a house slave, even if you want to be a house slave. Let's talk man to man. You are black like me. And that's what Ogunse was saying. In the first place, the PPP have been trampling on half of this population for 3 years, and none of the political parties has had the courage to say, people, be battle ready to fight back. And the WPA said it, and who don't like it, they can lump it. Let history record that a particular juncture in our history, when the tears of our people are flooding Guyana, none of the political parties, except the WPA, stood up and said, as a political party, we are calling a spade, and we are calling on our people to fight back. And that one political party had the courage to turn to the men in arms, the men with arms, and to say to them, stop being used. Do not turn your guns on your sisters and brothers. You can turn it wherever you want to turn it, but not on us. What caused Ogunse to say what he said? And what does he mean? You all think the president and the head of the army and them come out just because they want to come out? When you're in government, you ignore people. But they know what we are saying. And they know that our people are ready to push them back. And so they come out crying crocodile tears. They skin open the WPA. Some say he's right wing, some say he's left wing, some say he's no wing. Some people did this, they analyze us. That's their business. That's their business. Let history record that when our people were being trampled, that there was a party called the Working People's Alliance and an activist called Takuma Ogunse who looked the beast in the eye and said, "Stop now." That is it. If they want to jail us for it, then jail me quickly. As Martin Carter said, "Can the illiterate iron door if freedom writes no happier alphabet?" I'm quoting our national poet Martin Carter. And I wish people like Irfan and them learn to read properly so they can read Martin Carter. They learn to understand properly. These little boys feel that they can run around and take advantage and take their eyes past black people and nobody will stand up. I'm not looking for votes tonight. Maybe sometime down the road when there's a clean voters list and the field is even, I will come and ask for votes. But tonight, in this season of oppression, in this season of dark metal and tears, I'm not looking for no crossover vote. I'm looking to let the blood of my people stop flowing. Let the tears of my people stop flowing. I'm looking for equality, equitability, and justice for people, my people. I have no time for them and their class analysis and Marxists and so on. There is no class war in Guyana. There's a racial war being waged by the government and the PPP. There is social injustice. Social injustice. There is injustice against poor people, all poor people. There is social injustice, but there's no social war. The war that is being carried out on the people of Mokos because they're black like me. The homes that were demolished in Linden and Success, and those businesses in front of the hospital were owned by people black like me. They may be poor, but they haven't gone after them because they're poor. Quindan Bacchus was not killed because he's poor. He's killed because he's black, and they feel that black people, their lives don't have the same value. There is social injustice. Mark my words, I'm saying it there clear tonight. I know there is social injustice, but there's not a social war. The war that is being waged is a racial war that's being waged against black people. That's why I talk race. There's going to be a time when we'll talk class. But not tonight. Not tonight. And so, to all those who are coming out and condemning and carrying on and all that thing, you know not what you say, and you all are hypocrites because most of you all know damn well what led Ogunse to say what he said and what he meant what he said. Some of you all are ignorant in the sense that you all don't know, but some of you all know, and you all are pretending. For 3 years, they're beating up on black people, and the media and all those civil society stand by. Why? Why do you think they have said nothing? Because they benefit. They benefit. They're benefiting from this regime. And they prepare to make black people collateral damage. And then you dangle before us Oh, get some crossover votes so you can win an election. That is what no election gave us emancipation from slavery. No election gave us independence. No election gave our brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe and South Africa and Namibia freedom from apartheid. Don't dangle your nonsensical election. Tell me that I must go and seek crossover vote while you are thieving seats from a voters list that is bloated by 200,000. You are thieving votes and you are telling me I must go and look for crossover vote. What gets me mad with this is we are the teachers, yet they think they got more brains than we. We're not stupid. And you all are looking for black people who can deliver prisoners to you all. You are looking for opposition people who can deliver prisoners. At some point, all those who are collaborating rather than resisting, we will have a conversation with them at the appropriate time. All those who are writing their letters of condemnation, we will have a conversation with them at the appropriate time. But for now, let them come out from their holes. Let them come out and let them condemn. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. We are doing it tonight as we are going to be doing it every night. From now on that we have been doing it, preparing. We have been preparing for 3 years. And when we hit the road at Moko on that night, it was carefully planned. We went to the ground zero. We went to Golden Grove. We went to Denham Still. And then we went to the place where our foreparents put themselves on the line and stopped that train which represented the power of the colonial state. We went to the place where people are prepared to go on that line again and stop the power of this beastly PPP regime. Yes, we deliberately went to Buxton. It's liberated territory. It's always liberated territory. Despite some people may run behind you for your little hamper and make you believe that you have some influence in Buxton. You know, people who want to eat and they ask you for a little bit of contract and you believe that you have conquered Buxton. Well, if you conquered Buxton and you are reigning, the rain stops now. Because David Hinds and the WPA says not Buxton, not any African community. The party is over, Irfan. If you go to a village, you go and you treat our people with dignity. If you interfere with a marabunta nest, all you know what happens. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. Oh, we are in the fight of our lives. And somebody has to say, we are humans too. Somebody has to say that. We don't have guns. We don't have armies of soldiers. We have armies of human beings who will fight you. Fight back. If you hit us, we wait until your back is torn and we hit you from the back. Because you have the guns and you have the bombs and you have all those things that you're talking about. But you understand the power of the people. That's why you're shaking in your boots and begging, can the AFC condemn the WPA? Can they condemn the... Dictators don't cry. You are a little punk. Punk dictators. Punks, that's what they are. If not for the police and the army, they're nothing. And that is why we decide to speak to the police and the army. That is what Ogun was saying to them. These people are nothing without you. And why the hell you were turning your guns on your brothers and sisters? You did it at West Bobbies. You did it at Moko. You did it at Golden Grove. You did it in Linden. And we are saying you stop doing it now because you are from us. You are our kith and kin. And if you want to jail us for saying that, then jail me quickly. Brother Best, you're as dark as I am. Black like Esther Spade, black like in the night. Look at yourself in the mirror. I love you. And I will always tell this audience to love you. But we got to talk to you seriously for taking your eyes and past your mothers and your brothers and your sisters. Good evening. Good night. Good evening. Good night. My brothers are waiting on me. Good evening, Pastor London.
Greetings to you and to those who are listening.
Good evening, Brother Dion.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Hines.
Pastor London of the People's Movement. I saw you and Brother Jenna twice, I think, in the last couple of days.
Yes.
And you are a regular here. What do you make of this latest tralala by the PPP?
Quite interesting, and I think that it is one that, or a matter that has certainly garnered national and probably international interest. It has given rise to a significant moment in this country, in that a conversation, or many conversations are now being had, and in many cases quite uncomfortably so. Because what I would like to begin to express in reference to my thought was aptly expressed by you earlier. My very first thought was, why did Mr. Ogunse say what he did? More importantly, is there any truth to what he would have said? Now, if anyone wants to try to condemn what Mr. Ogunse would have said, they must say whether what he said is untrue. And that is yet to be said with a modicum of potency. Did Mr. Ogunse say that which is untrue? Is it factual that there are more African descendants, vastly more African descendants in the military and in the Guyana Police Force than there is any other ethnic group? Yes, that is an irrefutable fact. Now, if you read that fact and someone issues a projection to say, now, if these people decide, based on their numbers, to turn around and seek to resist those who are oppressing those of their ethnic group, it's over. That is an irrefutable fact. It may not be an encouraging statement to be made in this climate, but it is a factual statement that was made. And who are we to condemn what is truthful? What I find most disturbing is that Irfan Ali, of all people, in the midst of what has happened, can be quick to castigate one man for making a statement, but is yet to look in the mirror to recall what he did to Karen Cummings with a whole crowd of people. A female was in a vehicle headed to the Pegasus, and Irfan Ali led the charge to terrorize a female of African descent. What can he possibly say to anyone with sense? Ogunse said something. Irfan Ali did something. In my view, Irfan Ali is disqualified from saying anything regarding how anyone should behave in this country, because he is known to, as well as I saw, the whole world saw, to be among those who even in an electoral office or building rather, where general elections were being, the votes were being tabulated and so on, and procedures were being executed, there was disruption by him and others, which is unlawful. When you have hypocrites seeking to lead a nation and to call to one's conscience, it is most unfortunate. It is most unfortunate.
It is most unfortunate, Apostle Nigel London weighing in, reasoning it through, bringing to the fore what they did not want to come to the fore. Dion Abrams, you are an executive member of the Working People's Alliance. You grew up, you were born into the WPA in every sense of the word. Are you satisfied that they really understand what your party is trying to say?
The PPP is not a party of persons who are, not shrewd in what they think and what they do. One commentator in one of the chats in response to our message and so on said that Guyana will never be a better place until it gets rid of Jack Dew. All right. So people understand the architect of the discontent that we share. And the WPA, as you often would have said, is a party that has represented every sector, every race in this country over the time that it has been in existence since 40 odd years ago. So in today's climate, where Jack Dew, and Jack Dew was not afraid at Babu John only a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, to state that the PPP is a Kuli party. And none of them is responding to that. In fact, when the press conference was held at Freedom House the next day, the Thursday after that, Roy reiterated Jack Dew's point that the PPP is a Kuli party. You understand? And when he was asked what, should the African brothers in the party feel about them making such statement, he said they shouldn't be worried because they understand and they know exactly that the PPP is a Kuli party. Now, you see, Jack Dew has the liberty to do that because every time he goes to Babu John, he makes outlandish statements and nobody decries it. The private sector doesn't come out against it. When he says the PPP is a Kuli party, it is that philosophy that informs the decisions of the PPP, driven by the mentality of Jack Dew. And so every scheme, the entire agenda of the PPP is to focus on making, and I'm going to use this word, the Kuli party, all right, the superior agency in the country and the people who are aligned to that party to the detriment of every other race in the society, particularly the Black people, because we have been receiving since, it's not since 2020, it's recorded in history that since the PPP came to power in 1992, with the advent of Jack Dew, all kinds of ills have been befalling Black people. All right. But after 2020, we have seen an upping of the ante to dispossess, to murder, all right, to terrorize, to beat down, and to make us feel as though we don't belong here. That somehow, it's if the PPP has the will, the wherewithal, they will commit genocide in this country. The only thing that is keeping them from doing that, and they're trying to change that, is because of exactly what Takuma said, that the police and the army, all right, are primarily consisting of people who look like us. And the genocide that they foresee that they would want to commit in places that we see are happening in places like Myanmar and so on, they don't foresee that the army will push itself to that extent, even though they are allowing the police and the army, through their acolytes who are in charge, to exceed their remit in many ways, but they don't see that they will allow it to commit that genocide. And so they're now working, right, to change the composition of the force so that they can reach to that level. So if we do not stand up now and make our brothers aware and take steps to prevent what is happening, the country will eventually blow up. And so we are saying that we have to take a stand now, and it's that stand that we have declared. All we've asked is that our brothers not shoot, not maim, not kill their black brothers and sisters to suit the agenda of the Kuli party. And I see nothing wrong with that.
And of course, you're quoting the opposition leader there.
Of course, I'm quoting the opposition leader.
Yes. The honorable. Go ahead.
Sorry, not the opposition leader. He's not quoting the opposition leader. He's quoting what Jagdeo said.
Yes, sorry, not opposition leader. I'm thinking about Jagdeo when he was the opposition leader, Mr. Jagdeo. You're quoting Mr. Jagdeo there, who describes his party as a Kuli party, and hence you are arguing, Dion, I think quite correctly, that the ideology of the PPP then arises from that sense of itself. That sense, he didn't say we are a national party with a majority Indian followership and membership. He said we are a Kuli party. So the Kuli party come before the national party. Brother London, you want to come in there? Anything Brother Dion said that you want to elaborate on or introduce some point? Go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm certainly, as a Guyanese with children, I'm quite concerned and continue to be concerned with the utterances, about the utterances of those who have command of the state to some degree. Jagdeo is the same person who also said that if he advised people in Berbice that when PNC comes to you, Apneson, chase them.
Chase them.
Now, how you talk? So hold on. How could a Gunse statement be construed as inciting violence and ethnic tensions when Jagdeo instructed people, predominantly those who are of Indian descent, to chase the PNC, who they label as African people? So it's okay in this country, apparently, for Jagdeo and Ali and others to do that which is glaringly aggressive towards those of African descent. But when an African says, listen, we have to stop this, and we have to do whatever it takes to prevent us from suffering in this manner, then all walks of life, people from there would arise to say that the African descendant is wrong. It reminds me of the struggle even in the USA, even in South Africa, when what they call the Black South Africans were saying, you are killing us, you're shooting our school children, killing them. Which is up until today, I'm angry at Nelson Mandela. I do not respect Mandela even for 1 second in my lifetime. Now, you could view him differently. Because the people who slaughtered his people, he took some deal to say, well, I won't do anything to you because I'm a noble man. After that, after they've slaughtered his own people. And that is what I hear deeply within me is required in this country, where people could slaughter African descendants and do whatever they want to do to us. But at the end of the day, the Africans must say, okay, let's shake hands, we're friends. There must be no retaliation, there must be no repercussion, there must be no consequences faced. We're friends. You've killed some of us, you've beaten some of us, you've destroyed our property, you've reduced us in reference to economic genocide to mere servants in a nation. And let's shake hands and get along. That is what they're requesting of us. We must not react because Guyana apparently is seeking to have a multitude of Mandelas in this nation. I will not have it. It cannot be okay for anyone to treat one group of people so unjustly on a consistent basis and then say we must call for national unity without there being consequences.
And the Working People's Alliance have put them on notice. There will be consequences if you continue to beat up our people. If you shed one more drop of black blood, there will be consequences. If you mow down another home, there will be consequences. If you unjustly kill our young men, continue to kill them, there will be consequences. I want you all to hear, Mr. Whoever who you are, I want you all to hear clearly. That's all we are saying. There will be consequences. For 3 years, we have bitten our tongue, trying to be politically correct, trying to be politically moderate. And what have you done? What do we get in return? We have to bury our dead. We have to go to court to bail our people. We have to find homes for our people. Your is hard. And when people is hard, when governments is hard, when parties is hard, they have to deal with the consequences. And we have said to our people, fight back. Fight back. However you all want to fight back, fight back. And know that there are political leaders who are supporting you all and not going to catch you all like slave catchers and deliver you all to the enemy. Dion Abrams, what has been the response that your party has been getting since they have raised the central question of our time?
Well, you have discussed the response, but people on the ground are happy now that they are hearing what they wanted to hear. The African community has been so beaten down. They have really were despondent. They didn't know what to do. They were throwing their arms up in the air. And because the reliance upon political leaders to be their salvation was the order of the day. And so when there was this dormancy in the political arena, the sense that every transgression was merely being accepted and there was no pushback, they themselves felt that, they were left to be taken advantage of by the wolves. But we have basically empowered them, given them the understanding that dependence upon political leadership is not always the solution to your to the problems that you face. That people have power and they can use that power in their own defense. And it's demonstrated across the world. Even in Pakistan now, there is big riot over the arrest of Imran Khan.
Yeah.
We mentioned Suriname, we talked about Mexico, that people have power and they can use that power in public demonstrations, even though now when you demonstrate publicly, you're a terrorist in Guyana. Yeah. And Ogun did say that they have trivialized a serious offense, all right, that people who are protesting against the ills that are being committed by the government, that this has now been so trivialized by Nandalal and them, that when it faces them, they themselves are going to realize the foolishness that they have done, by calling people terrorists. When Nigel Pastor London just mentioned that they too are terrorists by terrorizing women, and they have a history of terrorism, if terrorism is what it is, as they have defined it, because they burnt the cane fields, they destroyed the sugar factories, they destroyed roads, they destroyed bridges under Burnham, they did all kinds of things. And the only person I remember that was labeled, was charged for treason, and the WPA rallied behind him. You know of the story, brother, what's his name, David, remind me.
You're
when they
talking about
charged
Arnold Rampersad?
Arnold Rampersad for treason,
Yes.
right? And we fought tooth and nail behind Arnold. Now they're saying that because we're representing ourselves that we're racist. But we
Well, you
have a
know,
history.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brother London, this is right down your alley because you've been preaching this thing that we cannot depend on party leaders all the time for our salvation. Come in
No.
and give your perspective on that.
Thank you. No, we cannot, because, and this is not, and it's sad I have to say this. It is not a case whereby I understood Ogunse's statement to say that there should be some war in Guyana where people should start killing anybody.
Yeah.
That is not what he was saying. And it's important for me to reiterate that in reference to what I'm about to say. If we are aware, which we all are, that there is an issue in this country, even Priya Manik-Chan had said that it's time for us to have certain conversations in Guyana because there's a problem with discrimination in this country. Even certain policies are discriminatory towards African descendants in this country. We have to have the conversation. It therefore means that the people must recognize, and hence the name, the people's movement would have been coined. There has to be power in the minds of Guyanese to know that your political leaders are servants. It sounds strange. They are servants of the people. The people are the ones with the authority in this country to make things happen and to make things move. And if we recognize across the board, be it Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, Chinese, whatever, if you recognize that there's injustice towards one ethnic group on such a scale that it cannot be hidden any longer, it makes sense for all of the people to say, stop it. This is not an African speaking alone here. Because if people recognize it, listen, if this country were to disintegrate into chaos, all of us would lose.
Thank you.
Therefore, tell the PPP to stop, because your actions are hypocritical. Your actions are demeaning. When Irfan Ali sits in the seat of president and could not condemn police officers who were chasing after Quindon Bacchus, while school children on the road, they were shooting and children were running for their lives maybe 10 feet away from these police shooting at them. Ali couldn't condemn that. Ali couldn't condemn when a police officer would have shot and caused a little boy, 10 years old of African descent, to be shot in his eye, in his face when he was going home with his mother. He couldn't condemn that. Irfan Ali couldn't condemn what happened or in Boston, because it is not within his nature. So the people must not look to any political figure to say, deliver us. We must say, as a whole in this country, stop it. Across the board, we've had enough of this. Hence, if those who claim to be leaders are incapable of protecting us by right, we have the power to protect ourselves, not as Africans, as people across the board. I know of no group who can sit back and allow themselves to be chewed up, destroyed, trampled upon, and say that for the sake of national unity, do it a little more to us, because at the end of the day, we don't want trouble. Guyana has been made unstable by a promise that, don't forget, sorry for that, Jack Dio was treasonous when he said that if Ali is not sworn in, he would make Guyana ungovernable.
There you go.
How could they talk to me about peace? Ugonse didn't say that. Jack Dio said that. I didn't see the public sector commission, the private sector commission condemning that statement. I didn't see the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce saying, how could a man of Jack Dio's caliber make such a reckless statement? Even Sarah Lynch didn't say anything about what he said, that he would make this country ungovernable. That is terrorism.
Pastor Nigel London, a couple of weeks ago, teachers and students at Woodley Park were terrorized, young man beaten, and nothing was done. And now we have issued the call. We see today teachers, and both of y'all here are teachers.
Yes.
Teachers out there in Bushlat, I think, have now come out on the road and say, under this PPP regime, adults are going into school and beating teachers, and the PPP has been doing nothing. And all of a sudden, thank God for Ogunse. Thank God for Ogunse. The teachers now, with their unions, have come out on the road and said, we're not taking this anymore. That is the civil disobedience that we are talking about. And that is what the PPP is afraid of. Ogunse didn't go to that school and say to those teachers, you all have to stop this nonsense. If parents or whoever coming into school and beating teachers, you have to be protected. Where is Mr. Best? Where is Mr. Best? And so we give solidarity to those teachers who are out on the streets today, backed by their union, and saying, we're not taking this no more. That is the message Ogunse was making. That is the message he was giving. Dion Abrams.
But David, we have to review the role of the Army in all these actions that they're taking. I don't know that the Army has the same role as the Guyana Police Force.
No, we understand that.
So how is it, that it has taken on this new dimension? It started since the 2000 era under Brigadier Collins, when the Army was called, and since then the Army has been used like the National Police Force.
But that's the point. That's the point your party is making. Your party is saying that these people ought to be in the barracks, and we have given them notice, so we don't even have to go back and review. We finish reviewing. We are saying, stay in your barracks. What do you make of the teachers there in West Bobis?
Teachers all over the country need to stand up for the atrocities that this administration has been meting out to them. It's long-standing. The disregard for the union is one, and that cuts across the spectrum in terms of the public service. But currently, what teachers are facing, even in the ministry where the PPP is going into schools, simply taking out people who look like the members of the Kuli party. When we talk about the Kuli party, we're not talking about the masses of the East Indians. We're talking about
when you talk about Kuli party, you are quoting Mr. Jack Dew.
And I'm quoting Jack Dew, but I'm talking about
so they won't say tomorrow you come here and describe East Indians as Kuli. So be clear.
So it's this clique that we're focusing on. And they are simply taking them out of schools and taking them into the ministry, pushing them over. People who have been in the public service for years and are giving them positions without, having them go through the normal process, through the interviews and the tiers that are there, and then the salaries that they're giving them is disrespectful to those who have been there and have been working and are not seeing emoluments that would make them live comfortably and survive in this harsh economic environment.
So do you support the teachers on the streets there, Dion?
I support them wholeheartedly, and I support a broader protest of teachers across the country for the better conditions that they
That is why your party has said civil disobedience and non-cooperation, that people, you don't have to go in and direct people. They will know and they will take the thing. Brother London.
Every teacher across this nation should refuse to go into classroom tomorrow because every one of you is under threat. This is not about West Coast or any bushland. This is about all teachers across this country recognizing that under this administration has occurred the most attacks on any teacher in any school by parents. Something is wrong. They've had rehearsals because they've seen the likes of Dharmlal being disrespectful in the House of Assembly and saying anything to a woman you want a dildo. That kind of attitude. They've seen O.C. Weeks Rogers slapping a woman in the street, in a store. They've seen the kind of aggression, and this was also met with silence from the leadership of the PPP. When teachers are being attacked, there are mere threats being made that we can't allow this to happen, and we hope that there'll be, according to the CEO, stringent measures taken by the police officers to deal with this, and yet somebody else could be attacked. No teacher should go to school until they feel that they're safe. That should be a statement made across the country. The union standing with the teacher in Bushtot, where he was attacked, is not enough to send a message across this country. We would not teach I'm not a teacher anymore. I know what I would have done. I would refuse to enter any school compound where I believe that a parent has the right or the power or the opportunity to come to my class and accost me and fight me because of some nonsense. There has to be a message sent across Guyana. They should have every union joining this. The GPSU should join to say that we have got members of the public servants who are being attacked on the job and they're not being protected, hence we're not working. That should be the response.
And Politics 101 wants to throw its weight behind that suggestion. I know lots of y'all are teachers watching this program. And I want to say to you all here tonight, in your own way, show solidarity with your brothers and sisters there in Bushlat. Ideally, we would want you all to do what my brother here has suggested tonight, that you all should come out of the classrooms tomorrow and say, we're not teaching until they deal with this question. This question is a security question. Mr. Bess is a security question. It's an education question. It's a question of people's rights, human rights. And so therefore we salute those teachers. And in your own little way from tomorrow, show solidarity. Go slow. Don't affect the children. You all are teachers. You all know how to do it. Malinga. That's what our foreparents used to do on the slave plantation. They turned 16 hours of work into 4 hours of work by malingering. We call on teachers that from tomorrow, show solidarity with your brothers and sisters. That's the civil disobedience.
Sorry for interjecting, but I'm passionate about what's happening in this country now, Dr. Hines. Even the students should be outside for a reason. Education is not about sitting in a classroom being taught content. It's about pulling out of you certain values, certain bits and pieces. Of course, you're an educator of what's within you. Yes. And if we have our children sitting to see the teachers can be beaten, this will become almost normal after a while. So the children should be made to think that we must stand outside with our teachers because we don't want our classmates to beat them up. There must be a national statement made across this country that this hitting of teachers has to stop. And if I may, this way Ogunse's statement can also be tied into it. If teachers recognize that parents are walking through the door across this country, the gate, and beating them up, and Ogunse were to say, teachers, listen, you can't have people come punch you in the face every day. You need to get together if they come to hit you and fight back. Would he be deemed a terrorist? Would that be inciting violence or protection? The statement is one whereby you must be protected, not you must be aggressive. You must protect yourself. That's all he was saying.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And we want to say they started there in West Bobis by going into a school and beating and chasing out black children. And now beating and chasing out is now the norm.
Yeah.
The political bosses didn't do anything about that dastardly act there in Woodley Park. And now it is open season to beat police beat teachers, because they've seen the example. What did Manichan say? We will do an investigation. We haven't heard the result of that investigation. The police can come in. The police cannot come in, but I dare, if you see, in a black village, black people had gone into a school and beat up black children and beat up Indian children and tell them Indian people not supposed to come in, the police would have descended in a minute. But when it happened in Woodley Park, they said, we will investigate. Investigate what is there, the videos, everything was there. But you see what happens now. It has become the norm. All hail to those teachers at Bushlat. We are behind you. And yes, civil disobedience. Other teachers should join tomorrow. Dion Abrams, closing thoughts. Go ahead.
I totally support all that has been said. And the call for civil disobedience is one that I must reiterate. My position is that when we talk about war, we are responding to all of the things that would have transpired, that have taken place against us. That this war that we are talking about is not a war that began with us. That the PPP is the architect of the war, just like they have been doing in Palestine, beating up on people who they believe are weak, just as they're doing in Myanmar and so on. The PPP has unleashed what it believes is its power of the state upon a people whom they believe have no resort in their defense. But we are telling people, we are saying to our people that we can defend ourselves and we
And
have a
we
right
are
to defend
defending
ourselves.
ourselves.
If people launch a war against you, you got a right to fight back. So when we say the war has been declared, we now are taking them on in the war that was declared by them. Our side now is declaring war. And they could vex as they want because them started. And we got
Thank
to
you
finish
very
it
much.
if they want it.
Brother London?
Ain't got no politics to that.
Thank you.
Brother-
Well, of course, my remarks would be somewhat reiterating what I said and adding to it, in that the call should be for every sensible Guyanese of all descent, all ethnic groupings, to understand that there is a crisis in our country. And the crisis can only be prevented or ended, I should say, when there is an understanding that we have to speak truthfully to what is existing in our nation. When someone could have told me, who represents the PPP Civic, that Africans, or he said Black people, could never apply for, or get rather, the 500 and $900 million contracts in this country, it was a statement that was painfully true, because I saw the system at work. And I saw that these people have now, in their minds, been told, who support the PPP at certain levels, that the African descendants are crushed. They're now subjugated, and they will either have to come on the side of the PPP or they'll be made worse off. And that in itself is an economic war that has been launched. There should be not, for the sake of my children and our children and our grandchildren, there should not be destruction in this country. It gets us nowhere. There should not be bloodshed one against the other. It gets us nowhere. What there should be is a reaction that sends a message from all Guyanese that says, stop it. Because at the political level, the PNC, I should say, and the PPP have caused great grief to come to this nation, because they're yet to sit to say, let us stop it now. And I must end by saying that I commend Aubrey Norton for his silence thus far, but he must speak definitively to say that Ogunse's statement had to have been caused by something. Let's talk about what caused it. And let's therefore...
Here you have it, emphatic. I think that's a wonderful way to end tonight's program. I want to thank you, Pastor, Apostle, sorry. And thank you, Brother Dion, for coming on with me to keep vigil as we talk this thing through. And for all of you who have sent us your solidarity, with Ogunse, solidarity with Ogunse and the WPA. Those of you who have applied to join our party, the lawyers who have called to volunteer their service if they touch that brother, to all of you, those of you who have sent in support in other ways, material and other support in other ways for us to keep this struggle going. I want to thank you all. And as we continue to keep vigil, tomorrow night we're back here. We're back here tomorrow night. And for those of you who are in Atlanta, Georgia, I will be there in Atlanta on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. The Honorable Rickford Burke will be sharing the platform, or I will be sharing the platform with Rickford. Let me get the flyer here. Yes, it's a town hall meeting, and it's on Saturday at 6 o'clock at where is it? The Columbia Drive United Methodist Church. The Columbia Drive United Methodist Church at 6 o'clock, town hall meeting. David Hines, yours truly, and Rickford Burke will be addressing the audience. Come out if you're in the area. Tell others. 6 o'clock at the Columbus Drive United Methodist Church. 6 o'clock on Saturday, we'll be in Atlanta. To all of you who came out in your droves tonight and last night, I want to thank you all. Thank you all very much. Let's keep the struggle on. We have struck an important blow that has empowered and given our people confidence. And we must not let up. The PPP must know henceforth, if you continue with what you're doing, there will be consequences. All power to those teachers on the road, and we need more of that. Shake up the system. Shake up the system and let them understand that we are human beings. We come in peace as usual, and we leave in peace until tomorrow night. Let's keep them guessing. What next? The struggle goes on.